The report by the Amnesty International is a report that carried details and empirical evidence of torture, rape, and starvation of women detained in the northeastern part of Nigeria. Many of these women are women that have survived or escaped Boko Haram attacks and invasion. As a democracy, we have a twin obligation to prosecute the war on terror, but in every possible way to protect and defend the fundamental rights of Nigerians. Mr. President, it is of concern that this report impinges on the integrity, the image, and reputation of not only the security forces of Nigeria, but Nigeria as a country. We have seen reports like this by such a credible international organization being discussed globally. We have the constitutional obligation as the region and part of this country that has been overtaken in the last few years by Boko Haram, and for which it has become a hub for humanitarian activities. This damning and indicting report that is presented before the Nigerian public and globally has the capacity and the ability of denting the war on terror in Nigeria. Mr. President, this report is not simply a thesis by Amnesty International. It contains names, identity, photographs, instances, and personal confessions of victims of this rape, starvation, and torture in the northeastern part of Nigeria. The response that followed these reports was simply a dismissal by the presidency and the Nigerian security forces. But I think as a parliament, we have a duty to address this issue. We should see human rights report as a mirror and as a compass. A mirror that will give us the shape of ourselves, the image of our actions in the Northeast, and the need to make amends, make corrections, and make adjustments where necessary so that we can prosecute a war that is free from moral questions and a war that is also in line with our own conscience. Mr. President, a report by Amnesty International is not just a report that we should dismiss as a report by either the opposition or any partisan political group. It's a report that is taken very seriously by international organizations and especially the United Nations. If this report finds itself on the table of world leaders, it is a report of ourselves. And then what have we done about it? Simply to issue a 2-paragraph statement and said it never happened, or the amnesty is working to undermine our government, or simply the amnesty is another arm of the opposition of this country. I think we are not getting it right. This report, for which I will offer to request that Amnesty present or make it available for every senator here to see, contains all that we need to ask questions. Ask questions on how this war is being prosecuted. As a country that is faced with an insurgency that is undermining our peace, our unity, our stability as a country, we have a duty to appreciate the sacrifices of men and women from the armed forces and other security agencies that are making the ultimate sacrifice of giving up their lives in order for us to be in peace. But we should also understand that as a republic and a democratic republic we have, there is that moral duty for us as a democracy to ensure that whatever we do is in line with the dictate of our constitution, is in line with the values of our democracy, is also in line with the international global best practices as far as issues of human rights are concerned. Mr. President, it is a fact that many members, servicemen and women from the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Air Force, the Navy, the police, and the DSS have paid the ultimate sacrifice in an attempt to combat the terrorists that are bedeviling and also posing a serious security threat to our country. We have seen many of our soldiers dying on the battle line, on the front line. We have seen many policemen, many DSS men, and other security agencies making sacrifices. But this is unacceptable. The war against terror must not be a blank check for undermining the fundamental rights of innocent people. We have a duty to protect the victims and to provide for them. That is what is needed, and that is what is done globally. As a parliament and as a senate, there is this duty for us to deliberate and discuss this issue with the view of bringing the culprits to book and also making the necessary amends so that the war against insurgency in Nigeria is not being seen globally as a recourse to violate the fundamental human rights of citizens who are also victims. If people can be victims of this insurgency, we should provide succor for them. We should provide succor for them. We should provide the comfort and security they need as a people. Mr. President, this presentation, as it is in this report, will go a long way in giving us the necessary guidance on what we need to do as a nation and as a government. Our security agencies should preoccupy themselves with protecting lives and properties of our people and not dissipating their energy on other issues that are of no value. I thank you for this opportunity, and God bless.